Health inspectors are locking the doors. Private equity is draining the fryers. And the burger you ate yesterday was legally allowed to cook in a biological hazard. This is dangerous, not unhealthy, not a poor choice, dangerous. We investigated the health citations, the private equity buyouts, and the corporate lawsuits of 2026. What we uncovered will ruin your appetite permanently. You are paying premium prices for cheap, dangerous shortcuts. By the end of this, you will know the 12 chains to avoid, the 4 safe havens, and the greedy billionaires connecting them all. Keep a tight grip on your wallet. Let us start the countdown. Number 16, Burger King. You drove through for a quick dinner. You left with a bag of corporate neglect. Restaurant brands. International owns this fading empire. They are a massive holding company. They prioritize dividend payouts over basic kitchen sanitation. That is a deliberate restaurant brand's international choice. You paid $12 for a Whopper meal. That $12 funded a kitchen that belongs in a horror movie. In March of 2026, a Florida health inspector found raw beef patties stored directly over uncovered lettuce. One drip of raw blood turns your salad into a biological weapon. The inspector issued a fine and threatened to padlock the doors. A former manager confessed on Reddit, "We were told to change the expiration stickers on the tomatoes instead of throwing them away." Keep a tight grip on your wallet when you see the king. They are serving you a crown of corporate lies, approved from a Toronto boardroom that has never touched a mop. The next chain decided to secretly charge you extra for the exact same burger, and they got caught on camera doing it. Number 15, Wendy's. You thought you were buying fresh beef. You were actually funding a dynamic pricing scandal. Wendy's is a publicly traded corporation obsessed with squeezing every penny out of your pocket. They answer to greedy shareholders, not to hungry families. You paid $14 for a Dave's Double. That $14 went to executives who wanted to charge you more when it rains. In 2026, their CEO bragged to investors about implementing surge pricing on their menu boards. They wanted to raise prices during the lunch rush. They literally wanted to punish you for being hungry at noon. The public backlash was immediate and massive. Surge pricing on a hamburger is not an accident of software testing. It is a preview of where every publicly traded chain is headed. Wendy's just got caught first. Wendy's shareholders love the idea. Your lunch budget is the one that does not survive it. The next chain does not just attempt to empty your wallet. They serve you literal roach-contaminated food. Subscribe to this channel because we run these investigations every single week. Number 14, Sonic. You pulled into the glowing stall. You trusted the roller skating waitress. You should not have. Inspire Brands owns Sonic. They are a ruthless private equity operation. They buy beloved American chains and strip them to the bone. This is a deliberate Inspire Brands decision. You paid $11 for a chili cheese coney. That $11 bought you a front row seat to a sanitation disaster. In May of 2026, an inspector in Texas found dead roaches inside the toaster oven. Dead roaches, inside the machine that toasts your hot dog bun. The inspector forced an immediate total closure. A disgusted car hop admitted, "The grease traps have not been pumped in 6 months and the whole lot smells like a sewer." Smells like a sewer? That is the Inspire Brands. Operational standard. They cut the maintenance budget to inflate quarterly earnings. The roaches are the maintenance budget made visible. The famous slushes are essentially pure high-fructose corn syrup, pumped through lines that rarely see a scrub brush. You paid $11 to drink dirty sugar water. The neon lights are hiding a filthy, neglected kitchen. Inspire Brands runs the same math at every chain it owns. Cut maintenance. Keep marketing. Hope the nostalgia covers the smell long enough to hit quarterly targets. The next sandwich empire was caught with meat that barely qualifies as food, handled by someone who should have been sent home. Number 13. Subway. Eat fresh. That is the biggest lie in American advertising history. Roark Capital owns Subway now. They are a giant private equity firm that specializes in buying distressed chains and squeezing the franchisees dry. Roark Capital owns the sandwich you were about to eat. You paid $13 for a foot-long sandwich. That $13 bought you deli meat pumped with water and cheap preservatives. In 2026, A health inspector in New York found an employee slicing turkey while wearing visibly bloody bandages. No gloves. Bloody bandages directly touching the meat you are about to eat. The inspector stopped the line immediately. A burnt-out sandwich artist wrote online, "They make us keep the tuna out all day until it turns a crusty yellow color." Crusty yellow tuna. That is what Rourke Capital calls fresh. They mandate razor-thin food costs. Workers serve dying ingredients because corporate math demands it. The bread carries more sugar than most desserts. You are eating a sugary sponge filled with questionable protein and bacterial risk. You paid $13 for a sugar crash and a sanitation violation. Private equity ruined the neighborhood sandwich shop. They hide behind the sneeze guard. They hope you do not look too closely at the wilting lettuce or the bandaged hands. The next fried chicken empire completely abandoned the man who founded it, and the kitchen shows exactly what happens when that happens. Number 12. KFC. It is finger-licking terrible. The Colonel would be absolutely disgusted. Yum! Brands owns KFC. They are a global mega-corporation. They destroyed a legendary Southern recipe to save fractions of a cent on chicken. This is a Yum Brands decision, made in a boardroom that has never fried a single bird. You paid $16 for a greasy bucket of disappointment. That $16 funded executives who replaced the founder's obsession with a ruthless spreadsheet. In 2026, an inspector in Georgia found raw chicken thawing in a broken sink full of stagnant, murky water. Stagnant water. The perfect breeding ground for bacterial colonies. They threw out 80 pounds of ruined chicken on the spot. A local reviewer stated, "The chicken was dripping with cold, heavy grease, and the biscuits tasted like salty chalk." Salty chalk. That is the Yum Brands guarantee. The gravy is an industrial powder mixed with tap water. The Colonel famously called their reformulated gravy recipe pure wallpaper paste before he died. The man built a billion-dollar empire on a recipe. Yum! Brands replaced it with a packet. You paid $16 for wallpaper paste and bacterial chicken. You are funding their international expansion while they starve the American kitchens. The smiling face on the bucket is a mask for a Yum Brands boardroom that has never fried a single piece of chicken or eaten what it sells. Their sister company at Yum Brands serves a menu item that is legally required to be called meat-like substance. That chain is next. Number 11. Taco Bell Live Más. That translates in practice to living with profound stomach pain. Yum Brands also owns Taco Bell. They hold the monopoly on late-night corporate indigestion. They feed you highly processed filler at a premium markup. 2 chains. 1 parent. Identical greed. You paid $12 for a Crunchwrap Supreme. That $12 bought you a soggy tortilla filled with heavily hydrated beef dust. In 2026, a health inspector in Nevada found a severe infestation of drain flies swarming the food prep station. Hundreds of flies landing directly on the shredded cheese. The inspector immediately revoked their operating permit. A night shift worker confessed on TikTok, "We scraped the refried beans out of a plastic bag and they look like solid brown cement." Solid brown cement. That is the culinary standard at Yum Brands. They prioritize drive-through speed over every single basic safety protocol. The crunchy tacos are stale before you leave the drive-through lane. The lettuce is a wilted, watery tragedy. You paid $12 for brown cement and drain flies. They target late-night customers who do not know any better. Yum Brands loves the margin on cheap beans. You pay for the margin with your digestive system. The next sit-down chain is microwaving your steak and charging you a sit-down price for the privilege. Number 10. Applebee's eating good in the neighborhood. Another hollow corporate fabrication from a chain that forgot how to cook. Dine Brands. Global runs this casual dining disaster. They are a publicly traded entity that completely eliminated actual cooking from their kitchens. Dine Brands. Global made that decision deliberately. You paid $22 for a Bourbon Street steak. That $22 bought you a piece of meat largely prepared in a microwave. In 2026, an inspector in Illinois found thick layers of rotting grease caked onto the kitchen exhaust hoods. The grease was physically dripping back down onto the grill surface. It is a fire hazard and a disgusting health violation simultaneously. A former server revealed, "Chef Mike does 90% of the work. Chef Mike is our nickname for the microwave." Chef Mike. Dine Brands. Global charges you restaurant prices for TV dinners. They stripped the kitchens of actual culinary talent to hit their shareholder margin targets. The signature cocktails are sugary syrups mixed with bottom-shelf liquor. You are paying premium bar prices for a neon-colored hangover. You paid $22 for a microwaved steak. That is the ultimate insult to a paying customer with a working fork. Casual dining should not involve a microwave timer. It should not involve a menu designed by a cost-cutting algorithm in a Dine Brands global conference room. The next publicly traded diner serves a breakfast plate that will exceed your doctor's sodium limit twice before noon. Number 9. Cracker Barrel. You wanted a rustic country morning. You got an industrial sodium bomb with ants in the syrup. Cracker Barrel is a publicly traded corporation desperately clinging to a fake vintage aesthetic. They use rocking chairs to distract you from the nutrition facts. You paid $18 for the Uncle Herschel's favorite breakfast. That $18 buys you 4,200 milligrams of sodium. Your daily limit is 2,300. You crossed it before the biscuits arrived. In 2026, an inspector in Tennessee found a massive colony of ants living inside the pancake syrup storage area. Ants swimming in the syrup jugs. The inspector ordered a pest control intervention before they could serve another breakfast. A disappointed traveler wrote, "The hash brown casserole tasted like a brick of pure salt mixed with artificial butter product." A brick of pure salt. That is how Cracker Barrel hides cheap ingredients. Overwhelming sodium masks what is missing underneath it. They rely on highway billboard marketing to trap tired families. The country store is a retail trap designed to drain your bank account while you wait for a table. You paid $18 to triple your daily sodium and eat ant-infested syrup. The rustic charm is manufactured by a corporate marketing department in Nashville. Ants in the syrup is a bad start to the day. The biggest burger chain in the world has a terrifying problem with their frying oil, and they have been hiding it. Number 8. McDonald's. Billions and billions served. Millions of them walked away completely unsatisfied. McDonald's is the ultimate publicly traded corporate giant. They are a real estate holding company that happens to sell cheap, salty burgers on the side. Shareholder pressure drives every kitchen decision. You paid $13 for a Big Mac meal. That $13 funded a system that views you as a walking barcode. In 2026, an inspector in California found the fry vat oil testing at dangerously toxic levels of degradation. They had not changed the frying oil in weeks. The oil was completely black. It was smoking heavily at room temperature. A former crew member tweeted, "The ice cream machine isn't broken. We are just explicitly told not to clean it because it takes too long." Explicitly told not to clean it. The corporate office prioritizes drive-through speed metrics over keeping the machinery sanitary. That is a McDonald's shareholder pressure decision. The Quarter Pounder patties are dry, gray, and completely devoid of actual beef flavor. You paid $13 for rancid fry oil and a gray meat disc. Shareholders demand constant expansion. The local kitchens crumble under that pressure. Nobody in the boardroom notices because the rent checks clear on time. McDonald's stopped caring about food quality decades ago. The rent checks clear on time. The fryer oil does not. That tells you everything about what this company actually is. The next drive-through chain serves a taco that a health inspector compared to a biological hazard report. Number 7. Jack in the Box. They have a mascot with a giant plastic head. That is exactly what their food tastes like. Jack in the Box is a publicly traded corporation with zero culinary identity. They throw everything at the wall to see what sticks. Whatever sticks becomes the special. You paid $14 for a massive late-night combo box. That $14 buys you a chaotic mess of deep-fried regret assembled by someone who may have been smoking in the freezer. In 2026, an inspector in Washington state found an employee actively smoking a cigarette while standing inside the walk-in freezer, smoking next to the frozen burgers. The inspector cited the store for severe health code violations and a total absence of managerial oversight. A customer complained on Yelp. "I ordered the 2 tacos and the meat inside looked like wet gray cat food." Wet cat food. That is what you get when a corporation with zero culinary identity runs your late-night kitchen and answers to shareholders who have never eaten there. They know you are tired and hungry. They serve you the absolute lowest grade of protein available. The curly fries are a greasy tangle of artificial seasoning. The burgers are flat, lifeless, and covered in a cheap mayonnaise substitute. You paid $14 for cat food tacos and cigarette ash. They prey on the late-night crowd with complete impunity. The executives who own this stock do not eat these tacos. They just collect dividends from the people who do, every night, in every city and every zip code they have never visited. The next chain actually claims they have the meats. A health inspector found out exactly how old those meats actually are. Number 6. Arby's. They have the meats. You really do not want to know how old those meats are. Inspire Brands owns Arby's. They are the same private equity group that owns Sonic. They applied their brutal cost-cutting formula to the roast beef slicers. Inspire Brands made this call. You paid $15 for a beef and cheddar combo. That $15 buys you heavily processed meat, bathed in a salty cheese-like fluid that contains ingredients requiring a chemistry degree to pronounce. In 2026, an inspector in Indiana found the signature roast beef sitting at 58 degrees for 4 straight hours. 58 degrees. That is the absolute peak of the bacterial danger zone. The inspector forced them to throw away 3 entire roasts immediately. A former shift manager posted, "We slice the beef so thin because corporate mandates, we stretch a single roast to cover 50 sandwiches." Stretch the roast. Inspire Brands literally mandates razor-thin portions to inflate daily profit margins. That is not a kitchen decision. It is a spreadsheet decision that happens to involve meat. The cheddar sauce comes in a massive plastic bag. It is the same private equity playbook applied to cheese. You paid $15 for warm bacteria and chemical cheese sauce. The private equity playbook is completely transparent. Inspire Brands is not hiding what they are doing. They are just counting on you not to look. The meats they have are designed to maximize Inspire Brands' portfolio revenue, not to feed you well. Those are 2 different objectives. Hit the like button. If you made it this far, there are much more revelations coming your way. Number 5. Hardee's and Carl's Jr. 2 names, 1 corporate disaster. Roark Capital owns this crumbling burger empire. They are the private equity titans who extract every last dime from franchise locations before selling them off. Roark Capital owns this mess. You paid $16 for a thick burger combo. That $16 funded a kitchen that has completely given up on basic sanitation. In 2026, an inspector in North Carolina found an open bucket of raw sewage backing up directly into the kitchen prep sink. Raw sewage in the sink where they wash the tomatoes. The inspector executed an immediate emergency shutdown of the entire facility. A furious local customer wrote, "The floors were so sticky my shoes made a tearing sound every time I took a step." A tearing sound. Roark Capital refuses to authorize spending on basic maintenance and deep cleaning crews. The tearing sound is the sound of their cost-cutting strategy at work. The massive burgers sit in your stomach like a lead weight. They rely on aggressive marketing to sell an inferior product to customers who have not heard about the sewage yet. You paid $16 for a side of raw sewage. Private equity destroyed a classic American burger brand for a quick financial flip and a clean exit. Roark Capital's greed consumed the kitchen entirely. The shiny commercials are all that remains of a brand that used to mean something before the portfolio managers arrived. Those are the 12 worst offenders on this entire list. 4 chains earned the right to be called safe. Here's the first one. Number 4. Culver's did the opposite of everything above them on this list. They smash fresh beef instead of smashing their franchise managers into submission. They are a privately owned, family-founded chain that refused to sell to Inspire Brands or Roark Capital. They answer to their customers, not to a holding company, not to a private equity fund. That choice is visible in every single kitchen. You pay $15 for a double butter burger and fresh cheese curds. That $15 buys you beef that has never seen the inside of a freezer. In a 2026 health audit across the Midwest, Culver's locations scored near-perfect marks. Spotless kitchens, pristine dining rooms, no greasy exhaust hoods, no expired stickers. A prominent food blogger wrote, "The staff is incredibly kind, and the butter-toasted bun is an absolute game-changer." A butter-toasted bun, not a stale, dry piece of cardboard manufactured in a massive corporate commissary. They cook every burger entirely to order. You are not eating a patty that has been sitting under a heat lamp for an hour while the manager watches the drive-thru timer. They source actual dairy for their fresh frozen custard. They do not use the chemical soft-serve slurry that mega chains pipe in from industrial suppliers. You pay $15 for a meal made with actual pride. Culver's proves that regional excellence scales beautifully when you refuse to compromise your standards for a shareholder return. They built their empire by respecting the people who walk through their doors. That is a rare commodity in modern fast food and an even rarer commodity in private equity. Culver's keeps their standards. The next chain on our safe list elevated the basic peanut to an art form and kept their kitchen spotless while doing it. Number 3. Five Guys. Five Guys did the opposite of Arby's, Sonic, and every Inspire brand's operation on this list. They pile the toppings high without piling on the corporate lies. They are a family-owned organization that stubbornly refuses to change their winning formula. They do not have a drive-thru because they refuse to let the fries get soggy in your car. That is a principled decision. You pay $20 for a massive bacon cheeseburger and a mountain of fries. That $20 buys you absolute, uncompromising quality. In a 2026 National Safety Review, Five Guys kitchens were commended for their flawless cross-contamination protocols. The health inspectors noted the pristine condition of the peanut oil fryers. No black sludge, no roaches, no expired stickers, no cigarettes in the freezer. A loyal customer reviewed, "They give you so many fries they literally overflow the cup and fill the entire bottom of the brown bag." Fill the brown bag. They over-deliver on value while the holding companies and private equity funds above them are secretly shrinking your portions and calling it a portion adjustment. They use fresh, hand-formed patties. They refuse to put a freezer inside any of their restaurants. Everything is cooked fresh every single day. No private equity firm is dictating the cheese portions. You pay $20 for a premium, heavy, honest masterpiece. They are expensive. They are also honest. In this industry, that combination is extraordinarily rare. Five Guys dominates the fry game. But the next chain on our safe list has maintained supply chain control that no private equity firm has ever been able to touch. Number 2. Braum's Wild. Everyone above them on this list answers to a boardroom. Braum's answers to its own dairy farm. They run their own massive dairy operation instead of running a corporate scam. They are completely family-owned. They refuse to open a store outside a 300-mile radius of their farm in Oklahoma. They demand absolute supply chain control. No Rourke Capital, no Inspire brands, no Yum brands, just the farm. You pay $12 for a massive burger and a real ice cream shake. That $12 buys you ingredients that were on a farm yesterday. Not in a bag from a Yum brands supplier. In 2026, inspectors in Texas gave Braum's locations flawless marks for dairy handling and kitchen sanitation. The inspector specifically noted the extreme cleanliness of the fresh grocery section inside every restaurant. A local reviewer stated, "You can buy a gallon of milk, a great burger, and a flawless sundae without ever leaving the building." A flawless sundae, because they make the ice cream themselves. No chemical dairy substitute, no industrial soft-serve slurry, their own milk from their own cows. They bake their own buns in their own bakery. They process their own beef. They cut out every greedy middleman that the publicly traded chains depend on. You pay $12 for farm-to-table fast food. That phrase is usually a marketing lie. Braum's actually makes it a structural reality. They refuse to franchise to outside investors. They kept the quality strictly under their own roof and refused every offer from every private equity firm that came calling. Braum's owns their entire supply chain. The number 1 chain on this list refused to go public. They refused private equity. They used that freedom to pay their managers 6-figure salaries instead of paying out shareholder dividends. Number 1. In-N-Out Burger. This entire countdown ends with the one chain that never had a boardroom to answer to in the first place. The Snyder family still owns the entire company. They actively refuse to go public. They refuse to let any outside investor touch their legacy. That refusal is the single most important business decision in fast food history. You pay $11 for a double-double combo. That $11 buys you the absolute gold standard of American fast food. In a 2026 health audit in California, In-N-Out scored a flawless 100% across dozens of locations. Spotless floors, impeccable walk-in coolers, employees wearing clean, stark white uniforms, no ant colonies, no dead roaches, no black sludge, no stagnant water, no cigarette ash in the freezer, no expired stickers, no dripping grease hoods, no drain flies, no raw sewage, none of it. Because the Snyder family decided none of it was acceptable. A famous celebrity chef went on record saying, "It is the only fast food burger I will actually eat, and the crisp lettuce is the secret." The crisp lettuce. They hand-leaf the lettuce in the store every morning. They slice the onions fresh. They peel the potatoes right in front of you. They pay their workers significantly above minimum wage. That creates employee loyalty. Employee loyalty creates pristine kitchen conditions. No private equity firm is interested in that equation because it requires actually caring. You pay $11 for a masterpiece of efficiency and quality. No private equity firm is secretly shrinking the beef patty. No Yum! Brand's executive is mandating the gravy powder. They earned the absolute #1 spot because they proved that corporate greed is a choice. You can be incredibly profitable without poisoning your customers. You just have to actually decide not to. There it is. The absolute worst and the rare best. The corporate vampires want you to keep eating their cheap, dirty, health code violating shortcuts. Stop handing them your hard-earned money. Stop funding their private equity yachts. If you are ready to see what these exact same corporations are doing to your favorite pizza chains, click the video on your screen. Do it right now. I will see you there.